Indian and Chinese troops.
Clashes in the Galwan Valley.
India and China.
When up to 20 Indian soldiers were killed and at least 4 Chinese soldiers were killed in clashes where both sides were using clubs, believed to have nails in them. And the relations between New Delhi and Beijing have deteriorated since.
Relations between India and China have been worsening. The two world powers are facing off against each other along their disputed border in the Himalayan region.
Separates two rising superpowers that contain over a third of the planet's population.
The world you live in today was sketched on paper by European men.
Chinese historians claim that the Pamir region, which accounts for 45% of Tajikistan, was part of the Jin dynasty.
What's the source of tension? The root cause is an ill-defined 3,440 kilometers, 2,100-mile, long disputed border. Rivers, lakes, and snowcaps along the frontier mean the line can shift, bringing soldiers face to face at many points, sparking a confrontation. The two nations are also competing to build infrastructure along the border, which is also known as the line of actual control. India's construction of a new road to a high-altitude air base is seen as one of the main triggers for a deadly 2020 clash with Chinese troops.
Top story at this hour. There has been yet another face-off between Indian and Chinese troops.
After troops of both countries engaged in deadly hand-to-hand fighting.
Video came to light after a clash occurred on December 9th in northeastern India's Arunachal Pradesh state.
All of this goes to show, John, that there are real tensions between New Delhi and Beijing.
How bad is the situation? Despite military-level talks, tensions continue. In December 2022, troops clashed for the first time in more than a year. It happened near the Tawang sector of Arunachal Pradesh state, the eastern tip of India. Some soldiers suffered minor injuries. De-escalation work has taken place since a major clash in June 2020. The Galwan Valley battle, fought with sticks and clubs, not guns, was the first fatal confrontation between the two sides since 1975. At least 20 Indian and 4 Chinese soldiers died. Another face-off in January 2021 left troops on both sides injured. It took place near India's Sikkim state, between Bhutan and Nepal. In September 2021, China accused India of firing shots at its troops. India accused China of firing into the air. If true, it would be the first time in 45 years that shots were fired at the border. A 1996 agreement prohibited the use of guns and explosives near the border. The same month, both countries agreed to disengage from a disputed western Himalayan border area.
Call to boycott Chinese products is now growing once again.
Gathering the Chinese products from their homes and setting them on fire, people have protested across India, calling for both military and economic action after 20 Indian soldiers were killed along the border with China for the first time in 45 years.
Clashes in the Galwan Valley.
India and China.
When up to 20 Indian soldiers were killed and at least 4 Chinese soldiers were killed in clashes where both sides were using clubs, believed to have nails in them.
देश को भरोसा दिलाना चाहता हूं, हमारे जवानों का बलिदान व्यर्थ नहीं जाएगा। हमारे लिए भारत की अखंडता और संप्रभुता सर्वोच्च है और इसकी रक्षा करने से हमें कोई भी रोक नहीं सकता। भारत शांति चाहता है, लेकिन भारत उकसाने पर हर हाल में यथोचित जवाब देने में सक्षम है।
What is the potential for serious military escalation? Leaders in India and China view the potential for uncontrolled escalation along the line of control to be low, despite regular clashes like those in Doklam, Galwan, and now Tawang. This relative comfort, even with their forces stationed face-to-face on high alert, stems from 2 factors. First, the two sides have a series of agreements going back to 1993 to manage their disputed border. In 2005, the two sides agreed on a protocol for implementing their border management commitments, reiterating that The two sides will resolve the boundary question through peaceful and friendly consultations, including a bilateral commitment to resolve border issues by peaceful means. Second, India and China are confident that as nuclear powers, they have sufficient mutual deterrence to ensure the other party will seek to de-escalate flare-ups rather than risk a war. So, while the two sides use their mechanisms to de-escalate and reaffirm agreements, Sino-India relations reached a new low after Galwan and have yet to recover. And even with tactical de-escalation, the strategic escalation of tensions between India and China continues with substantial upgrades of military infrastructure and the permanent deployments of additional troops to the area.
The Indian government has banned dozens of Chinese-owned apps over apparent security concerns.
That they will order Google and Apple to remove those apps from their store.
Another 118 apps have been banned by the Indian government of Chinese origin. That comes after early this year they banned 59 apps. Some very big names in there as well in terms of the kind of apps that are banned. And the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology accused these apps of being engaged in what they called prejudicial actions to sovereignty and integrity of India. They claimed that these apps represent a national security threat. They also alleged that these apps were collecting Indian user data and sending it to servers based outside of India. And finally, they said that these apps collect data in what they called a surreptitious manner. So lots of big accusations there.
Meanwhile, India restricted Chinese investment into its technology and infrastructure sectors and outright banned Chinese apps like TikTok. And across the Indo-Pacific, common views about Chinese assertiveness have led to closer military and technology cooperation between India and other countries in the region, such as the Quad, Australia, India, Japan, and the United States, who seek to compete with China for influence and deter Chinese aggression in the region. For decades, China and India believed they would not see border clashes result in the loss of life. That changed unexpectedly in Galwan. With the border more militarized than ever and trust at a historic low, risks of escalation cannot be dismissed. What's the bigger picture? The two countries have fought only one war, in 1962, when India suffered a humiliating defeat. But simmering tensions involve the risk of escalation, and that can be devastating given both sides are established nuclear powers. There would also be economic fallout as China is one of India's biggest trading partners. The military standoff is mirrored by growing political tension, which has strained ties between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Observers say talks are the only way forward because both countries have much to lose.